Hi there, I suspect you cannot see me, because today we're gonna talk about faded ND filters. So basically, every ND filter is built out of two linear polarizers. So to explain how these work is a bit hard for me in English. However, I want to try it. Imagine you have two pieces of glass which both have sets of lines which are in a line. And you have these two glasses on top of each other. And when you rotate it, you let less and less light through. Of course, this is not scientifically correct, but you get the idea how this all works. Many people don't believe in cheap filters because it is in front of your lens and it could really mess up your image by degrading the sharpness and by degrading the overall quality with the color tint, the color shift or whatever. And to be honest, I'm one of these people. So for a little side project, I actually needed a faded ND filter, but I didn't want to spend much money on it because I usually shoot with normal ND filters, but I needed a faded one for this and it wasn't a paid gig. So I thought just wanted a little and the cheap one. So I looked up online what these things cost today, and surprisingly these are pretty damn cheap these days. So I decided to order the two cheapest filters I found online, and yeah, now we're here in this video. So the first one I bought is this little generic one. It actually doesn't have a brand name. I think it gets relabeled quite often and sold for much more money than it's worth. This is usually the cheapest filter you can find on eBay. It's around $14, which is really cheap. And with it, you get this nice little pouch where you can sit it in. Pretty nice for transportation. And yeah, $14 for an ND fader. The second filter I bought is a Fotga one. Maybe you know Fotga from other products all around your camera. This one is a little bit more expensive. It costs $2 more. It costs $16, which is still pretty cheap. And it gets delivered in this little plastic box. Actually, I like the pouch a bit more. However, this one is more secure solution for dust and scratches. So from the specs, both filters are more or less identical. When you set it to the minimum level, you lose 2 stops of light. And when you drop it down all the way to the max, you lose 8 additional stops of light, so you have the ability to step down from 2 up to 10 stops of light. On both filters you have a little scale on the side to determine how much light you suck up with the filter. However, on both this is more or less useless. So the problem we have is that we need to drag the filter quite a lot till we lose the first stop of light. However, when we drag it just a little bit further, we soon lose much more light. So it's a really strong curve how we lose light on these two filters. Of course, I bought both filters in an 82 diameter filter thread, so I can use these filters inside my 4x4 adapter inside my matte box. But aside from the ability to use this filter with every lens I have, it also has a very nice additional side effect. So as I already mentioned, these filters consist of 2 linear polarizer filters. Therefore, we also have the ability of a usual polarizer filter. So with my matte box, I'm able to rotate the whole filter array, and then this way I can get rid, for example, of reflections, like on water surfaces or basically any other surface that isn't a mirror or metal. But sometimes we want a reflection, like a light shimmer in the hair of your actress. And therefore, when you shoot with an ND fader, always make sure you don't get rid of the reflections that you actually want. I'm really honest with you, when I ordered these two, I really thought they sucked balls. But actually it was quite surprising to see how these two perform. So let's take a look in actual footage and some tests I did with these filters. So the first thing I wanted to know is how good normal ND filters perform, so what we can expect from these filters in reality. So headed over to dvinfo.net, and this is a nice test about new true ND filters. And the text is quite interesting, but we don't want to go through that, but we want to look at the examples. So here we can see some really expensive 4x4 filters and how they tint the image. As you can see, the Tiffen makes it a bit more yellow, and the Schneider does a pretty much magenta tint to it. So this is not perfect, but it seems to be kind of normal with high-end filters even. And when we scroll down here, we see the true ND filters, which are quite nice and do a really good job in not tinting the image too much or at all. So with this in mind, let's take a look at our filters. So here you can see all these filters lined up. against each other on the same white wall. I didn't make it perfectly to match the exposure, however, we get the idea from this. So on the far left we have the original image without a filter. In the middle we have the generic fader ND, and on the right we have the Fotga. And what we can see already is that this is not the same actually, but this is I think pretty close, so it gets a little bit more yellow. So this is pretty obvious. So on the left it's not that yellowish. It's a bit less. Let's take a look at the waveform here. We can see that the red is treated a little bit differently, and also the blue is treated a little bit differently. So let's take a look at the color channels, the individual ones. So on the red channel it looks quite good, a little bit darker on this one, or let's say a little bit brighter in the middle. The green one is pretty much even, and the blue channel is a little bit brighter on the left on the original image. So we see the blue gets treated a little bit differently. However, this is usually only a few hundred degrees Kelvin on your manual white balancing setting, so and should nothing be really bothered about when we keep in mind how other ND filters perform. So now let's take a look at the sharpness. What we see now is the raw image without any filter applied. My ISO chart isn't the best one, but we get the idea from the sharpness that we could expect maybe from such a filter, or if you don't have a filter on it. So let's take a look at the circle in the middle. Oh my god, is the print bad here. However, let's take a look at the generic ND filter. So this is the generic ND filter. What we can see again is the slight difference in the color, in the tint. Maybe we'll look at the red channel, so it's not that bad. What we can see is the black is handled a bit different. However, the actual sharpness is not that bad when we consider that with a little bit added contrast, because we lose a bit of contrast here, we might be able to achieve the same amount of sharpness. So maybe we look at this pretty badly printed area just to get the idea on the sharpness. And as you can see, it's slightly less sharp actually. So this is a little bit more crisp than this is. So we lose a bit of sharpness with this filter. So let's take a look at the Fotga one. This is the Fotga. Again, we can see the little bit of color shift. But also, interestingly, we don't get the chromatic aberrations from the lens that pronounced in these circles. So, nice side effect in this case. So also the blacks are treated just like in the raw image. So this is the raw one, this is the Fotga, this is the generic one. So the blacks is a little bit bad here, but not that bad in the Fotga. Pretty nice to see. So let's take a also look at this area. Again, the original file without a filter is a little bit better here. So we have a little bit more detail in this area in particular. However, it's nothing too bad. Remember that this is shooted at a much higher resolution that you might want to use these filters with when you shoot video. So in the end, this shouldn't be bother you at all. So I'm not really good in shooting random footage, but I wanted to see how the Fotga performs in a real-life situation. So I took it out on a sunny day, and I think we can already see that we don't have any issues here with color shifts or sharpness. I think we can see that we get beautiful images out of this filter. I left the white balance at 5500 Kelvin like I always do on such sunny days, and I'm actually pretty happy with the results. I also didn't have any problems with infrared light like some ND filters have, what I read online. So I'm really happy with the results, and I think, yeah, quite usable.
Not that bad, huh? Actually, I was quite surprised of the performance of both of these filters. However, because of the very slight price difference out of these two filters, I would clearly recommend the Fotga one. So, I think we're finished here now. Everything is said and done. I hope you like this video. If you have any questions, just drop them in the comments. I will answer them as soon as I can and as good as I can, of course. And so far, see you next time. Bye.